What's up, guys? It's Chad. Welcome back to the Dorky and 40 RC channel. We have let the TT02 kind of rest here during the summer. We've ran it a couple times at a couple events. We've had like some second place finishes, some third place finishes, but it's time to get back to TT02 domination. They do call me the King of Mansfield, so I've got a title that I've got to defend, and there's a lot of people that coming at me. So we're going to start first by getting this baby ready. We're going to be running some on-road racing with it tomorrow. Now, I haven't had the best results as an on-road racer because there's a lot more than just kind of doing like the speed sheet secrets and stuff to getting like a good car going. You got to be like a good driver. But you gotta have all of the basics into place. Truth be told, this baby is definitely ready for a new chassis. I've got some holes that are stripped out here, which doesn't give us a very good seating gear cover, which is pretty important considering that everything kind of runs inside of here. So I could see that there actually is a little bit of wear probably in that gear cover. So just to get us by tomorrow, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of put some high wear grease in here. I always recommend that when you first build your car, build it with the kit grease that comes in the Tamiya kit. But then once you get like a few races on it and stuff, you want to get that stuff out of there. And you want to free up the car a little bit because it's definitely a little bit too thick and it will just kind of slow things down and not make it as smooth, but it's a very good braking grease. So the other thing I'm doing here is I took this motor and cleaned it out. Basically, it's a very good performing motor. It probably is past its age a little bit, and I have another one that's new, but it's actually slower. And that's kind of the one thing about stock spec racing is that not all of these motors are created the same. Some people go crazy and they will buy multiple motors in order to find a fast one. I don't subscribe to that at all. I don't think that is fun or fair or anything else. But you know, when I got a good one, I'm going to run it until it doesn't want to run anymore. So basically what I did with this torque tune motor is I took it outside. I sprayed a bunch of like, motor spray through it until everything was coming out clear. And then I took the air compressor and dried everything and I oiled up the bushings, and you saw me just put a little bit more of the oil on here. I've got this, double lube R1 stuff here that works pretty well, and that's just basically, of course, to keep those bushings going as long as we can on this motor. I'm putting back on the Kimbrough 22 tooth 0.6 mod 0.6 pinion gear. We are allowed to change our pinion gear, but it has to be the same tooth count. So you can't go up or down or anything else, but we are allowed to go ahead and change that because this thing actually is worth a lot of speed, and it actually meshes up way better here with the spur gear. And if you used your regular Tamiya gears, what you would notice is this thing would be turning like all gray and nasty, and your spur gear would, your pinion gear here would actually be kind of like bent and like look like just really nasty because it's kind of like potted metal. And when you put everything together, you want to make sure everything lines up appropriately, and you want to make sure that your pinion is not bottomed out here and that all rotates nice and easy. So I'm going to go ahead and reinstall this, and then we'll kind of get on to the next step of cleaning up this car. Right, so we got everything back together here, just testing and make sure that we have power and all that's going on. And yeah, we're good to go. I think what I'm gonna actually do is take my backup chassis with me so I can kind of work on that in between heats. And that way what I can do is I can kind of freshen up some of the parts that don't look so good. We can get rid of that chassis that has like kind of the stripped holes. And then the other thing is, since we, instead of taking everything off tonight and like lubing like your arms and hinge pins and stuff like that, I might as well just do it all at once while we do the chassis swap over and replace any parts that we don't need. Now, since we are going in to on-road immediately, I am going to check the balancing on my tires. So you can see that if you look inside of my tires there, you can see that there's like some material inside there. Some people use like plumber's putty. I use like the hoodie tape. That way it just, you know, it's a little expensive, but it sticks and it works. And then the other thing that I did for on-road is I went ahead and glued up the sidewalls again and freshened those up on both of my front tires. So that way we have that all good to do. And I'll get up there and just enjoy this, run it at heat, and then we'll start stripping everything down, replacing that stuff, lubing things up. I know everybody's like, why would you do that stuff at the track? And it's like, well, I'm hoping that I don't break my F1 car and that I actually have time to set up there and wrench and not have to worry about it. And we'll lube everything back up and all that kind of stuff. So let me show you how I balance my tires real quick using the DURBO propeller balancer. So I was actually going to balance all these and then show you what the end result is, but this one here is really good. So what we have here, of course, is the hoodie balancing putty. So it's this black sticky stuff that you just kind of rip a piece off. And here is the DURBO propeller balancer. It's for RC planes, but we can actually use it for cars. And we just have the wheel inserted in there. You can see there's kind of like these pieces go together, and then there's a spring and like a little washer, and then kind of like a piece of full fuel tubing on the end. And what you do is just set it on there. These bearings and stuff are super smooth. I've never seen anything like it. It's literally the best money that you can spend. I got a link to that in the description below. And really what you're going to do is just kind of move the tire, and you don't need to get like super crazy with it, but you can see how the tire is literally staying still no matter where I put it. Like that is like perfection. That is really what you want. You need a good level surface. So I know my bench here is level. I've got it on the hoodie setup board here, which I know is level. And this tire is ready to go. And it's pretty cool that it turned out that good. It's actually one of the ones that I put some additional glue on the sidewall, and it's money. So let's just go ahead and do this again on the other one. We're going to take the opposite part of the propeller shaft, and then we're going to take this spring and we're going to put that down on there, and then the washer and the piece of fuel tubing right behind that. And then we're going to just smash it all together and make like a tire sandwich. And then that will allow us to go ahead and get it nice and friction fitted on there. Make sure it's not wobbling around. And then we will stick that on the balancer. Make sure it's not touching the sides or anything. And then I'm just going to move it to a position and just let go of it. And, you know, these were already balanced before, so I'm not expecting any like crazy results. So it's kind of moving it right there a little bit. But like if it doesn't move throughout, you know, 75, 80% of the motion, and it only likes to move in like one certain spot, and that's barely even moving, like I'm going to call that good. So I'm just going to repeat that process on all 4 tires. Of course, you know, if your tires don't have tread, so you know which way they're actually going, you're going to want to mark your tires so that way that you're always putting them back on the correct sides. Don't want to make that mistake. And it's pretty much all there is to like to the tire balancing. So this one here, no matter where I put it, it is spinning, and it has been pre-balanced before. So there is some material on the inside there. So basically what happens is the heaviest side is going to always be to the bottom. So what you're going to want to do is you want to add material 180 degrees to that. And it doesn't take a whole lot. Usually you end up putting on a lot more than you need, and then you end up like taking it off. So I'm just going to start with like a piece like this right here. And I'm going to just kind of put my finger right there where I believe it is and needs to go. And then I'm going to stick it on the wheel. If you got a lot of like wheel cleaner and stuff like that on your car, sometimes this stuff won't stick, but that's another advantage about this Hootie stuff is it seems to stick to everything. So now what we'll probably end up getting is a heavier spot somewhere else. Or it actually is telling us that we might need to actually add more to that spot. So in my professional opinion, I'm going to call this good. There's just a little bit of movement. Again, you don't need to like make it perfect. As long as it's not swinging down and around, you're going to pretty much be at mission accomplished. Like I think on that side, it's going a little bit too far. You know, down this way, which basically means I could add a little bit more material to this side, but then over here, you know, it's just kind of like right there on the edge. So I'm going to call that good. And I think this is pretty much the last thing I'm going to do. I am going to adjust my body posts, and I am going to go to the ultralight, super rad body. For Onroad. Onroad, there doesn't seem to be as much as contact, and a crash can be costly, but it's not as costly as in an oval race, because if you go down a half lap or a lap in an oval race at these spec speeds, it's very hard to get out, and that's when I like using the McAllister body, because they could just take a shot better than the Super Rad can. So that's going to do it, guys. We're going to get everything done and keep an update for the trackside video to see how we do. We'll talk to you later, and peace.